Hi everyone, welcome back to the third video in the Tarot 101 course series. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what type of tarot reader you are. You might not be any type of tarot reader right now, but you might also have been exposed to the tarot and fit in one of these categories. So I wanted to share that a little bit with you and then talk about how we can sort of merge all of those different styles together for the most effective reading we can have. The first type that I'm calling it is the purist. The purist is someone who went out and they got their tarot deck and they got their book, and that is exactly how they are learning. That's how they are reading, going directly from the perspective of what that Rider-Smith-Waite book says. Advantages and disadvantages, right? So from an advantage perspective, you are learning the card meanings really well this way. And that's a great foundation. However, it's not the most flexible. Actually, it's not very flexible at all. It's not the most, I don't think the most useful, really, way of reading the tarot. So, we've got the purist, the by-the-book person who, and trust me, I was a purist for a long time. It's like, okay, this is the card, what exactly does it mean? And then I would try to figure out how it applied to my life, okay? Oftentimes, not being particularly successful, especially if I was pairing a specific card meaning with a specific card position in a spread. So meaning, it seemed to me like all the time I was getting, all right, what is the greatest possibility for me? And the card that would come up in that position would be something, I don't know, something like the Three of Swords, despair and betrayal. That's what's for you. And it would just make no sense to me. So while I fully appreciate those purists out there, I think that there's more to be said for reading the tarot, okay? So number one is the purist. Number two is what I call the reporter. And the reporter is somebody who pulls a tarot spread, takes a look at each of the cards, asks a set of questions related to each of those cards, and then uses what comes up. For example, let's say someone pulls the devil, and we have a set of questions that we can ask if we do pull the devil. It's like, okay, well, am I bound to something in some way? Am I being held captive but of my own volition? Am I having some addiction issues right now? Am I having some over-attachment issues right now? So to be able to ask yourself some questions that are relevant to the card and relevant to the tarot reading situation is a great way. And the really nice thing about this is that it gets you started on a little bit deeper level and a little bit more of an intuition cultivating level that I personally feel is important if you're going to really be a good reader, okay? So that is the reporter. And when we go through all of our lessons, we're going to get each of these types, right? So we're going to have some information about the purist, or how the purist would read this card. We're also going to have some information about how a reporter would approach a specific card, okay? We'll also have some information about how this third type would approach a reading. And the third type is what I call the oracle. The third type is the person who goes out and grabs a tarot deck, or grabs, in this case, it would be actually pretty easy as well to use an oracle deck. They grab this deck, they sit down with this deck, and they intuit what each card means. So someone will, for example, do a spread, and rather than even looking at the book, they are just tapping into what's there for them for that particular card. How is it making me feel? Is there a physical sensation that I get when I see this card? Am I having any particular sort of random thoughts that are dropping in relationship to this card? So the oracle is just the intuitive person, the person who is not worried at all about what traditional card meanings are. They're not worried about asking themselves specific questions. All they want is just to look at the cards and see what comes in for them. And that is a small percentage of people who are able to really do that. My belief is that if someone's able to do that, then they don't really need the cards. I look at the cards as a tool for tapping into things that we're not able to see for ourselves. And if someone is so incredibly intuitive that things just keep coming in for them, they don't necessarily need the cards. The rest of us who are not, super sage-like oracles, need the cards. All right, and then the last of the tarot reading types is what I call the synthesizer. The synthesizer. And what the synthesizer is someone who probably at some point has gone through all of these phases and has finally learned how to synthesize all of this information. They've learned how to synthesize the traditional meaning that comes right out of the book with their intuition, with potentially some very specific questions that they know are relevant for this card as it comes up. And if we can, as readers, create this beautiful, delicious blend of intuition, knowledge, and inquisitiveness, then that is the best way, in my opinion, to approach the cards. Okay. With the next video, we will be officially beginning with the Fool. And we'll talk about the Fool. We will talk about the traditional book meaning of the Fool. We'll talk about the questions that you might want to ask yourself when the Fool comes up for you in a reading. We'll talk about the symbolism as well. And, it's tough to talk about the intuition of these cards, but I'll do my best to sort of share with you how I see or how I recognize those intuitive downloads when I'm getting them when I'm doing a reading. So if you want to be a synthesizer, if you want to be someone who is able to approach the tarot from a broad, well-rounded perspective with some historical knowledge, some book knowledge, some inquisitiveness, and some intuition, then stick around. You will not be sad. That's my daughter would say that. You will not be sad if you stick around and enjoy learning the tarot with me. So please do me a favor. Hit the little dingy thing, subscribe, do whatever you need to do here on YouTube to keep the videos coming into your inbox so you know that they're here and learn along with me. I welcome you. I am thrilled that you're here. The world needs more people who are interested and willing to put some of themselves into a tool like the tarot for the purposes of spreading some joy, for the purpose of spreading some love, for the purpose of spreading just some humanity. So please join me, and in the meantime, be well. I will see you soon with a video on the Fool. Be well.